Hi everyone, it's Sasha and Susie back
Uh,
for a weekly roundup, obviously from Women's Fight News. It's the big week. It's here. It's like Christmas, isn't it now?
Yes. Yeah. How exciting. Because, for women's boxing, this year has just been so amazing. So we've had, the massive one in April that you went to, luckily, with
Yeah.
Savannah and Taylor. And now to get this as well. I mean, it's just huge for women's boxing.
Yeah. It's so exciting and I like the buzz. Everyone's talking about it. I mean, everyone's been talking about it since it's been announced, but it's very hyped on Twitter, especially. Sky have got some great little promo videos out, documentaries. Obviously, the gloves are off was out. Lovely little promo with Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgardner. So all
Yes.
of that's getting everyone super hyped up. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I'm so excited about this week. Every day, I'm just going to be buzzing.
Yeah. Especially when we get to Wednesday. Obviously, Wednesday's going to be public workout. Thursday press conference, Friday weigh-in. I'm looking forward to the weigh-in more than the press conference, I think, because we know what's going to happen in the press conference. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to Mayer and Baumgardner in the press
Yeah,
conference.
they're going to go out.
But the weigh-in, I want to see how everyone acts. Are they going to be chill and just do, the staring? Is there going to be some pushing, shoving, shouting? That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
But before we get onto that, obviously, we had a weekend of boxing. We're going to start with Tasha Jonas in Liverpool. So she unified, and she is now, I think she got 2 titles, hasn't she now? 2 world titles in the Super Welterweight division.
Yeah.
So it was a really good fight. But so I didn't watch it live that night. I had to watch it the next day. So I'd already seen the scorecards because obviously everyone on Twitter ruins it for you. And I'm sure, if I remember correctly, I'm sure 2 judges had Tasha winning every round or something along them lines. And I remember watching it and I was like, I gave the first 2 rounds to Berghult because I thought Tasha started quite slow. Berghult was landing some good shots. And I was like, that's weird. And then I thought maybe it's just me. But at the end of the fight, Tasha did say, and I think she openly said herself, that she thought she'd lost a couple of rounds. Which was fair play to her. But aside from that, aside from the slow start, because it was a bit of a slow start, she was awesome. She was so, so good. And I think she was asked in the post-fight post-fight interview, is this the weight that maybe you should have been at? And she laughed and said, maybe, is this being the missing piece, all these years of grafting and the other world title opportunities, was she meant to be at this weight? Because like I say, after the slow start, she performed brilliantly. And I think the only thing that let her down in the first few rounds was her footwork was a little bit slow. And I thought, I wonder if it's because she's a bit heavier with the weight. But by the end of it, foot speed was back, hand speed, the power. I don't know how Berghult was still standing. I just do not know.
Like you say, Tasha Jonas's power is amazing at this weight.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, even if you remember the fight against Terri Harper, they were both rocking each other, and she rocked Terri a couple of times, but she's carried that power up with her as well with the hand speed as well. But what I love about Tasha was the combos she was doing, especially towards the second half. She'd go head, body, head, and she just wasn't giving Berghult the time to think or breathe. And she did get hit a little bit, Tasha. And I think one of the commentators mentioned, she took a couple more punches than she needed to. But I think when you're not getting hurt and you're not feeling them punches, you do risk it to land more yourself. And I think that was the situation.
Yeah, if you feel it out, and she felt safe to do so.
Yeah, and she was never in danger, Tasha, at all. So it was such a solid performance, I'm sure. And fight of the night, because I'm not being funny, the rest of the card was pretty dreadful, in my humble opinion. I know everyone criticised on Twitter, and I do have to agree with everyone. It was shocking.
Well,
didn't enjoy it.
Chance to shine, didn't it? So, and I feel like with this fight, yeah, it was great what she did last fight, but I feel like this fight was even better. This opponent was even better than the last opponent. So this really was a time to shine and show the world what she was capable of, and that she deserved to be at this weight.
Yeah, definitely, because I know she said Manchester was such an amazing experience for her, and it was a great performance. Obviously, it was over nice and quick. That's got to top it, though. Obviously, it was a homecoming in Liverpool, at last as well. You know, it's been a while since she's fought in Liverpool. She's fighting to unify a division. And it was a top performance because Berghult's very good. She's a solid world champion in her own right. You know, she's defeated Hannah Rankin before, who's obviously now a current world champion herself. So she's a solid opponent. You could see why. She's very good. She's just not Tasha Jonas good, but she is very, very good. So she's definitely showed herself at this division. So what will now be exciting, like we were talking last week, is what happens on the 24th of September. That's what now we're going to look forward to and kind of, I suppose, compare the performances, because it's hard. Obviously, we don't know who Tasha could possibly fight, but it's hard to even pick a winner because you've got to kind of see how they're going to perform, Terri, Harper, Hannah Rankin, to then see who could possibly win if that fight happens.
But that fight is going to, you know, I've shown this, like we're saying, at home, Liverpool against Berghult was huge. This is going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we were saying last week, I think if Hannah Rankin wins, it's a big fight. You've got the beef, the fact that the fight didn't happen prior, and you've got that kind of narrative. But if Terri Harper wins, for me, that's a headliner, and that's a huge payday. It'll be both of their career high payday. And based off the last fight, you could be potentially looking at one of the greatest fights ever, not just in women's boxing, because I truly believe the first fight was that good. And that was without a crowd. So can you imagine if you've got a crowd behind you? So we are going to talk about Terri Harper, and we'll go into that fight actually, because I think something that's interesting for me is, let's say Terri wins, who has the fight? Is it Boxer or is it Matchroom? And is that going to be a fight that's complicated to make? Because it was complicated to make the rematch when they were both with Matchroom.
Yeah,
that could be a slight issue, maybe.
Yeah, you're right there. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was just thinking, I want the fight.
Yeah. Well, this is what made me think of it, because obviously Terri Harper, who's been very active on Twitter this week, she's not active often, but when she is, it's pure gold. So it's worth the wait. But obviously she congratulated Tasha on the win. And then she says she'll make sure she gets the job done in 3 weeks, and then hopefully the rematch that everyone wants to see. Now, for me, we've obviously seen that for the big fights, you know, with Baumgardner, Matchroom have been happy for Sky Sports to kind of have that fight. I'm not saying that would happen again. But I think with Tasha Jonas especially, I think she's not getting to the end of her career necessarily, but she doesn't have 10 years left in the sport. She's got a good handful more fights, and I'm sure she wants them to be mega fights. So I think that might make it easier to make. But I think that is what will be interesting, is who has the fight. And then the location of the fight will be interesting, because they both are good home fighters. They both sell a lot of tickets. So that could be another battle as well that I'm quite interested to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting how this is all going to play out. I can't even make a guess. So I was thinking, where would I think? But, you know, if you were somewhere neutral, well, then people wouldn't want to go neutral because they want to cash in on Liverpool fans or sort of Sheffield, that kind of fans.
I don't know if it would headline if it was neutral.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I think it would sell. I mean, they've both got such a huge fan base, and people will travel to see them. But something because people keep saying, oh, shows aren't selling out, but obviously we're in tough times within the country at the minute. So it makes it tougher. You know, you wouldn't want that fight all the way in London when you've got someone who would happily fight in Sheffield, obviously more Midlands based, someone fighting the North. They're only 2 hours apart. No point going all the way to London. So where's neutral? Manchester's still quite high up to Liverpool. So then, but do you know what I mean? It's one of them, isn't it? If you're going to go to Manchester, you might as well go to Liverpool and make it a home fight type thing. So I think that will be interesting as well. If that fight was to happen in the future, I think you've got the narrative of the prior fight, the controversy, how different their careers have spun since then. Obviously, Tasha's she had a little bit of a setback with the loss to Katie, but went on to win a world title at last. And then obviously you had Terri Harper, had the major setback. So the whole storyline, I feel like it's just destined.
Yeah, definitely.
If she wins.
With Tasha, it brought her credentials up. Everyone loved her. With the fight with Terri Harper, it didn't matter the result. Suddenly the whole of the public took to her, warmed to her. And then against Katie Taylor, again, because she put on such a great performance, again, it didn't even matter the result.
Yeah.
A stop up.
Yeah.
And I just weren't even really dents to her career. They were sort of helped her career.
100%. This is why I always think that we need to get rid of that fear of losing the O. I know Tasha had a loss, and that was a shock loss, and that really did put a dent in her career, which shows how fickle boxing is at times. Because I remember listening to Joe Gallagher on a podcast talk about when Tasha lost that, and he was like, not one person, the promoter, Eddie Hearn, didn't come back. No one come back to see her when she got that loss. And then I think her next fight was like in the Olympia in Liverpool, which is a small hall show, which is crazy to think. And how hard it's been for her to get back to where she belonged. And in all fairness, if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think she would have got the opportunity against Terri Harper, which is wrong, because she showed that she was a world level fighter, but no one would give her that opportunity, and it shows how fickle boxing is. And then she got the draw, her stock went up, like you say. She lost to Katie, but it was 4-4 going into the ninth. I think everyone can say that quite comfortably. It was a very close fight, and Katie won on the championship rounds because she's the greatest to enter the ring. So she's going to beat the most people in championship rounds. So, like you say, her stock rose. That was a great loss. I'm sure she didn't want to lose. She would have loved to be an undisputed champion, but then look where she is now. She's doing well. Sure, she's not complaining.
No, she's more than happy. It's just gone straight up, isn't it, for her?
Yeah. And I think, again, it's, obviously Marie Evdokar holds the other belt. So it'll the whole thing will be interesting, obviously. I'm sure, I think what would be best is you'd get the winner, Tasha face, and the winner of Hannah and Terri. And then the winner of that's got this opportunity for a mega undisputed fight. So there's so much on the line now.
But like Marie Evdokar has already put a tweet out saying she would love to fight Tasha. So there's going to be like a fight over who fights who first, because she's already got in there saying she wants that fight.
Well, I remember thinking it would be interesting if, for instance, because obviously I know it's only 3 weeks apart, Tasha's had her fight now. Would she fight Marie Evdokar? And then would the winner of Terri Hannah possibly fight Mary Spencer? I'm just saying that because I think she deserves a world title opportunity. Yeah. I don't know if she's mandatory, to be fair, but she's so good. But then that's quite a risk for a possible mega fight. So it's a tough one.
I think she is mandatory in a couple of belts, to be honest.
Is she? Yeah. I feel like she should be now. And if she's not mandatory, then she should still get the opportunity, because she showed in her last fight how good she is.
Amazing.
So and then like Cecilia Brackhouse, I don't know what her plans on, if she was planning on coming in. And then what I think will happen, I think someone will become undisputed in that division. And then I think Claressa will go, hello, everyone, I'm popping back down. And then I think she'll take on whoever's undisputed at the time.
Yeah, no, totally. She's keeping an eye.
Oh, 100%. And so what a division that's been in. Everyone complains about these slightly higher weights. Saw someone on Twitter the other day saying there's no skill in the higher weights. And I think people misunderstand skill and depth. The skill is super high. You've got some of the top 10 pound for pound in them weights. The depth isn't there. Telling me Claressa Shields isn't skillful. Tasha Jonas, Terri Harper. Do you know, you've got to be joking. Yeah. I'm sorry. So it's not that the skill isn't there, it's the depth. But that division is becoming deep at such a high level, even compared to the lower weights. The lower weights is deeper, but do you have that many true, world level fighters in certain divisions? No, that's going to be one of the best divisions, I think, moving forwards.
And exciting fights, like really exciting potential knockouts,
And that's it. You've got the potential knockouts as well. You've got these girls, and they're all strong, they're all powerful. How exciting. People complain that we don't see enough knockouts. Well, this is your opportunity in this division as well. Right. So I want to go back to Terri Harper, because like we said, she's made an appearance back on Twitter. She doesn't use it a lot. And when she does use it, people say it's Steffi Bull tweeting on her behalf, which is it's just my ultimate favorite thing. I love when people say that. So she started engaging with Michaela Mayer also, and we obviously know that was destined to be a super fight at super featherweight.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. That's another fight. That division, we could see Michaela Mayer in that division.
Yeah, totally.
Quicker than we think, because if she doesn't get the Katie fight, she doesn't get the Chantal McCaskill fight. McCaskill's up at welterweight, then she'd have to go to super welterweight.
Yes.
So next year we could have Michaela Mayer in the super welterweight division.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming Terri and Steffi know that, and that's why obviously if they start engaging with Michaela Mayer again and creating that because that's a fight we all want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure Michaela Mayer said it, you know, in the past that she would still like to face Terri.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I always like their back and forth, because I think they've got a lot of respect for each other. I don't think it's dislike at all. I think they're there to sell a fight. I think I mentioned last week, Steffi Bull had said that fight at Super Feather between Harper and Mayer was looking at about $500,000 each, which is a huge payday. It's one I wouldn't turn down personally. But can you imagine if Michaela goes on to win this weekend, Terri goes on to win, that fight will be even bigger, regardless of the weight. So I'm excited for that. Did you see Michaela Mayer on Soccer AM?
I saw the highlights of her kicking the football skills.
And what would you give her out of 10?
Do you know what? It wasn't as bad as what people were saying. I thought at least she did, you know, at least she got it on target most of the time. It didn't like fly off. So solid 7.
That's quite generous. No, I've seen worse.
Yeah. But what would you?
Probably a 5, maybe. She's done better than me, though.
I'd do so bad.
I don't even think I'd go on. I'd be too scared. But Michaela Mayer's done great. Obviously, she's come to London early. She's doing, you know, she's getting out and about, getting a name out there. Soccer AM's so popular as well. So that was a great shout for her to go on. And I like the way she doesn't take herself too seriously. I think that's great. So obviously we've got that fight potential in the future. Now, this is my favourite tweet from Terri Harper this week.
This made me laugh so much.
But is it Terri or is it Steffi?
Well, that's it. That's the running joke.
This is brilliant. I do love this, I must say.
Yeah, this is hilarious, because I think what's made it funny is that I just didn't expect this to pop up, because like you say, Terri's not that active, especially on Twitter. So then to suddenly scroll through my feed and see this pop up from Terri.
Yeah. I love it. I'm giving her a 10 out of 10 for this tweet. It is a good one. I am giving her a 10 out of 10. She's got to win now. She can't be putting tweets out like this, though, and not get the win.
Yeah. She was. Yeah.
I don't know if Hannah engaged with this or not. I couldn't see her on Twitter. I don't know if she responded in the end.
I don't know if I saw anything.
No. I know her last tweet, Hannah Rankin's last tweet, was to Steffi Bull, and she was like, right, I'm done now. I'll just see you in 3 or 4 weeks or whenever it was. So she might be sticking to her word. Hannah Rankin's back in the UK. She's been sparring with Sandy Ryan. Obviously prior to that, sparring with Claressa Shields. So, you know, she's clear. I mean, obviously she's taking this seriously, but she's having some top level sparring.
No one spars more people than Hannah Rankin, I swear.
Yeah.
Like I've said this to her before as well. I'm just like, how many people do you spar? Because like she knows everybody across the world. Like literally, I'll speak to like fighter here, there, and everywhere across the world, and always like, oh yes, Hannah Rankin, I love Hannah. They all love her.
Yeah.
And they all think she's brilliant.
She's such a nice person. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a bad word about Hannah at all. She's such a nice person, and she will fight anywhere in the world. She'll spar anyone. She travels quite a lot actually for sparring, doesn't she? Like you say, and I think she's been in the ring with everyone she can be at that weight. And fighting wise, she doesn't turn anyone down. Absolutely love her. You've got to love Hannah Rankin. She's great for the sport.
100%, yeah.
So looking forward to that. That's obviously in a couple of weeks' time. Now, I don't know if you've been watching SAS, Who Dares Wins.
I need to catch up. I really want to see this now. See how Shannon Courtney does there.
I only want to watch it for Shannon Courtney. I don't really know a lot of the rest of them. I think there's a couple of the Only Way is Essex people on and things like that. She put out a tweet, I don't know if you saw, and it was quite sad, where she was saying how that experience has changed her life. And prior to that, she was in kind of such a dark place, and she was making out like she was happy and living her best life, but actually it was the complete opposite. And going on that show has completely changed her life. And so many people say that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know whether to, I never used to believe them. I never used to believe it was what it was on the TV. I used to think they made it look worse than it was. And it was when Tony Bellew went on. And again, I listened to him on a podcast, and he thought they would stay in hotels each night and it was all just for the cameras.
Yeah, and it was.
And he was like how it changed his life. So, and I know obviously Ebony Bridges done the Australian one. I know that was kind of life-changing for her as well. So, yeah, I'd love to watch it to see Shannon's journey, I suppose.
It's the bruises they have afterwards, because I don't think they really show you fully exactly bruises and marks and how black and blue they are. You know, because they've literally
Didn't Ebony cut her head? Didn't she go through like something the wrong way or something, like cut all of her head?
Course, they had to do this obstacle course where they dived through, like, you had like the rubber tires. So you had to go sort of, I think, in between them. But you had to keep going around fast in pairs. So she was sort of being half dragged at times by a partner, or she was like going ahead with this. Anyway, she was just going full force because she wanted to win, and just dived with her head straight at it, and just literally caught fire on her head, and just literally took a load of skin and hair off. It wasn't just skin, a chunk of hair as well.
Wow. So it's real. Would you go on SAS Who Dares Wins if you were paid? Obviously, you're not volunteering.
Fun, but do you know what? I'd have to be fit. Yeah. I'd be at my peak fitness. I don't think they have a choice, some of these people, when they go on, but I'd want to be at my absolute just to give it a go. But it doesn't seem that fun to me. But
no. I think I'd cry on like the first hour, and then I'd just get ripped forever, and then I'd be a meme, and I'd be all over like TikTok and that. So no, because I actually just think I'd cry straight away before they even took me into that little room and things like that. No, I honestly think it'd just ruin my life. So I don't think I'd do it.
As soon as they swore in my face, I'd be like, no.
So yeah, you ever see us on SAS Who Dares? Because I'm sure we were next invited. I'm sure we were next on the list.
Yeah, it was heading our way.
But the reason I mentioned Shannon Courtenay now, there's a tweet from Jamie Mitchell. Now, I am going to be honest and say I don't know if this is Jamie's account or not. There's 2 Twitter accounts with Jamie Mitchell. I was actually going to text Brian Cohen, but then it got a bit late. But I feel like I might drop him a little message and ask. I hope he doesn't mind, because I'd like to know if this is true. So let me just remove this so everyone can see. So Eddie here, Shannon Courtenay could not make weight for the rematch with me. You could have at least got with my manager, obviously Cohen Boxing, for a fight with someone else in the bantamweight division within that contract. Few reasons I believe that. One, I've always said I don't think Shannon Courtenay will come back at bantamweight. 2, Jamie Mitchell's not fought since Carly Skelly. And 3, when I spoke to Brian Cohen, he did say there was issues with the contract regarding Jamie Mitchell. So I don't know if it's her. I feel like it could be, but I don't want to say it definitely is.
I was when I first saw it. I've actually read these, like, just because I was like, wow, look, you know what's being said here.
Yeah.
And then when you said about there being a couple of Twitter accounts, I thought, oh gosh, because actually I could just imagine someone doing that to wind the situation up. And because people aren't that familiar with her handle, they could actually be by it, which it could be the case. I don't know. But then it's the way it's written. I still think it could potentially be her.
Yeah, like I've had a look through. I don't know. I think it could be. It might not be. It's one of them. The other account hasn't been that active, but Jamie isn't super active. She's a bit more active on Instagram, because I messaged her on Instagram and asked. But we will find out. I think we'll find out maybe tomorrow whether it's legit or not. However, I don't think Shannon Courtenay will come back to bantamweight. I'll bet a lot of money that she won't do it. I'm just not convinced.
Yeah. I mean, it was just such a big ask of her, wasn't it? Because, you know, she's missed the weight twice now. And she had, like, to face Ebony, she had to be, like, literally in a hotel next to a gym for, like, 6 weeks, didn't she? Like, literally regimented just to get down to that weight. I mean, she looked awesome, but what a tough every fight.
Yeah, it just becomes dangerous as well. I just think it's a high risk. She's missed a couple of times. She can't miss again, because I actually quite like Shannon Courtney, and I like her story, and I like watching her box, but she's not very liked. It's quite fair to say, for whatever, people just don't like her. I don't think she helps herself at times. If she was to miss weight for a third time, I honestly just think she's setting herself up for an absolute disaster. It was a bit of a shit show last time, in all fairness. And then that was slightly controversial. So I just think, make life easier for yourself and just move up. I don't get it. I do not get it. Super Bantam is stacked. There's great fights there. I'd love to see the Ellie Scott and Shannon Courtney fight in the future. There's rivalries there. The ex-stable mates.
Yeah.
They're not particularly friends, I don't think. They're not enemies, but I don't think they're super friendly. Like, that's a fight I'd love to see. So move up and do us all a favour.
Yeah, there's plenty at Super Bantamweight and above. So yeah,
I think she could even move up to feather. You've got to, I love her transition. Obviously, she had a very unhealthy lifestyle before taking up boxing, and to get from where she was to where she is now is unbelievable. It's actually just unbelievable. But I think, she's had that knee injury, and I think she had 2 surgeries. It's a lot. And, as you get older as well, it's just difficult. So I don't think she will. I think the only reason she'd want to is to kind of rematch Jamie Mitchell, but I don't think every loss has to be rematched. I think sometimes you just cut your losses and move on and just get on with it, personally.
Yeah, a bit moving up.
Yeah, if she never fights Alicia Baumgardner again, it does not matter. It doesn't matter at all. That's happened. It's been and gone. If it happens organically, fine. But I'm not a big fan of these immediate rematches and having to revenge a loss and things like that. Sometimes you just don't win on the night and just crack on. Because I think fighters are holding back their careers. I know it's not women's boxing, but Joshua and Usyk was 11 months apart just to have an immediate rematch. Well, what's the point? You could have got out 2-3 more times in that time. And so, I don't know. With Jamie Mitchell, though, I feel like it's such a shame. I feel like winning that world title has hindered her career in a way, because now she's signed with Matchroom. She's never fighting, ever.
Yeah. I do feel for her. She's definitely been held back. She should be fighting regularly, like you say. She should be, they should be pursuing some unification matchups, because I know Thorsland's desperate for a matchup.
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities out there for her. It's just a real shame. But, we don't really know the ins and outs of this contract and how tied up she's been. I presume she has been. But hopefully, if it is true, these tweets, and they've confirmed that Shannon Courtney can't make weight, you'd like to think that now they can say, Jamie, let's get on with it.
Yeah. Because the last fight was Carly Skelly. I'm a big fan of Carly. She's a fellow Scouser, but she's not world level. I really like her, but she's probably Commonwealth European type level Carly. So in all respect, her last fight wasn't the most challenging of fights. So she's not being active. That fight was a long time ago. I know she'll want to unify, but I feel like she's been that inactive that she might need to go and have another fight before potentially unifying, because some of these other champions have been active.
Yeah.
So I think it's a shame. I know when I spoke to Brian Cohen, he said there was an issue with the contract and they were trying to... You charging your phone?
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to do it.
But I feel like they were having issues at the time with that contract, and it's like they're all waiting for Shannon Courtney. But I'm not being funny. When you've had 2 knee surgeries, not that it's Shannon's fault, but don't hold back another fighter for some rematch when she can go off and do something. When Shannon's ready, she can come back and try and slot back in. So I think it's a shame, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that's not a shame, Michaela May or Alicia Baumgardner.
Yeah.
Oh, are we liking the promos?
Oh yeah, I haven't watched the one yet where they're literally going at it in the gym.
I've not watched that yet. I'm waiting for tomorrow morning with my cup of coffee.
I want to see that. The little snippet is just brilliant. And is that Andre Ward that's in there with her?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was.
And they're so funny. But they genuinely just don't like each other. They just do not like each other. I love it.
I feel like with Michaela Mayer, we know what she's like because she was like with Terri, Harper, other people she faces. She's very funny, likes the banter, likes going at it. I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like Alicia's taken it a little bit to heart.
Yeah.
She's been taking it, and literally trying to give back that beef. And it's not fake, it's real now. Do you know what I mean? I feel like she's taking it to heart and it's literally like, I really don't like you, Mayor, now, and you're for it.
I do, yeah. I actually agree. I don't think Michaela has like enemies with anyone in the sense of, but I think she can get under people's skin if they don't get her humour, but she's just quite funny and sarcastic and is just there for the banter, really, isn't she?
Yes,
But yeah, I absolutely love it. Cannot wait for the fight. If you go, see if they've got the t-shirts on merch, though, the Alicia Baumgardner. See if she brings a few and has given them out. But yeah, I cannot wait. So excited. We've obviously done you've been asking a lot of the boxers to do their predictions. And what I've found, so if anyone hasn't seen them, we're starting to upload them gradually on YouTube. There's quite a few on now. A lot of people are going with Michaela Mayer for the same reason as they all mention the Hamadouche fight. And that, for Mayer, was just such a career-defining fight. It kind of went under the radar in the sense of, I know we all loved it, but I feel like we should still be talking about it. Like the actual boxing world, it was that good. It was like fight of the year contender, in my opinion. It kind of it was great, and then we all forgot about it. But all the pros who have picked Mayer, they all relate back to that fight.
But that's why it's so great that I feel like they're coming over here a little bit. Like, it's great. We want to build the sport everywhere, obviously, and women's boxing. They love it in America, Argentina, Mexico, and everywhere. But it's obviously booming over here in the UK at the moment. Yeah. That's where the sort of more high-profile fights are going to happen at the moment because it's the public want it over here. So that's why I think it's so great the Mayer's come over here to fight Alicia, because I think it is a bigger fight over here. And I know a lot of Americans say it's such a shame because they're both American. But I think it's still the bigger fight over here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is a shame, but I hope American promoters and things kind of look at that and go, well, that we've missed an opportunity there, because they wouldn't have got paid the same fighting in America as the fighting here. They'll get paid a lot more money here. I think they'll be, in a sense, more respected with, like, look what Michaela Mayer did with that Soccer AM, going out, doing things that aren't necessarily just linked to boxing. I don't know if that'd happen in America, in the sense of they do like women's boxing, but we're just on a whole nother level in the UK. We are a step above. There's not many things the UK are above America in, to be fair, so give us this one. But this is what every single fighter wants to fight in the UK. Even the Americans, they'd rather fight in the UK than fight in the hometown, which isn't because they don't want to be in front of the home fans, but I think they know this is where you can, in theory, like, change your life. You can develop that big of a profile and increase your stock that much that it would change your life. Like the winner of Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgardner, that will change their life. I truly believe. I think paydays from now on will be huge. Sponsorship, endorsements, everything.
And that's why I was saying that if that kind of the Mayer Hamadouche fight had happened over here, it would have been a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And the same as if this fight was happening over in America, it would go under the radar a bit. So that's why kind of a good move. But then, like you say, we don't want to ignore America and not build that. Obviously, we want to build the market over there as well. But at the moment, while we're trying to build women's boxing and have the biggest fights and nights possible to showcase a sport to everybody, then I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I agree. And like, obviously there are cards on, Jessica McCaskill, fought not too long ago in America. There's obviously people fighting in America, but one thing I think America miss out on massively are these super cards. And there's never a female on, ever, on these super cards. You've got Canelo. When's Canelo ever had a female on? Canelo Triple G is coming up. They're going to sell out. The tickets, like, even to sit in the back, are like $800. And I mean, you literally sit in, like, you can't even see. and $800. Like it's packed. It's going to be one of the biggest shows of the year, and there's not a female on. Again, that happens all the time. These super fights, like at least if we looked at the Usyk Joshua fight, we had Ramla Ali on. I think it was a shame the opponent. I feel like for that history making moment, I would have liked maybe a history making fight, but at least that's a step in the right direction. We're seeing, because it was the same here for a while where we were having super fights and there was never a female on it. And I think fight camp helped. I'll always say that fight camp behind closed doors was what really set women's boxing off in the UK. COVID was a blessing in that sense. But I think that's what America needs to start doing on these mega cards. Put a solid, like you've got Sinister Estrada. Why is she not on a mega card? She's one of the most entertaining boxers, male or female. She's one of the most entertaining boxers to watch. Why is she not on a mega card?
Yeah, she's a superstar in everything.
And that's where they're missing.
She can do everything, can't she? She's the full pack.
She doesn't even jab. She comes in with a left hook. I mean, she's unreal. Like it's just the most fascinating thing to watch. I think the last fight she threw 3 jabs in the whole fight, but she lead with the left hook. No one else does that. So like put her on a big card, but I think that's what they miss out on. So
Top Rank have got her now.
Yeah.
Did she say it was October or November? It's one of those months she's going to have a debut with them.
Yeah.
And I think they're just going to they can see with Michaela how they've got Michaela right up there. They're going to do the exactly the same now.
Yeah, because like Michaela Mayer, Sinister Estrada is very. She speaks very well. She's great when she's like pundits or on the commentary. She looks great. It's like she's kind of the full package of what they want, like what they've done with Michaela Mayer, very like commercial as well. You can get it out there, which is great. But I think that's where America are missing a trick a little bit. And I think for as long as they do that, they're going to miss out on these opportunities, because for these big fights, they're going to have to be in the UK for financial reasons as well. It's as simple as that. So they're going to miss out. So it's a shame.
And we're going to see, I know that Sinisa is going to come over to London for the fight. That's nice as well, because again, Top Rank are going to help start promoting Sinisa already at this fight. I'm kind of hoping she might do some commentary or some punditry, because like you say, she just speaks so well.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's one of my favourites on commentary. She's so good. She's not biased.
No.
There's been a couple of ones. Who was it fighting? And Jessica McCaskill was on comms.
Oh, yeah, Amanda.
Oh, yeah. And she just turned into Katie Taylor. That was so funny. But Sinister Estrada's not biased, speaks very well, and you can tell she's got such a great ring IQ. I'm hoping they're bringing her over here to could she have a fight here possibly? How good would that be? You couldn't miss that one. UK fans would love her as well. UK fans would love Sinister Estrada. Yeah, she's so entertaining.
She's superstar. She just her stock rise hugely. But yeah, for selfish reasons, to be able to go to watch her live. Yeah.
She's so good. But casual fans would love Sinister Estrada. Yeah. She would, I believe she would convert quite a few dinosaurs who claim that they don't like women's boxing.
Yeah.
I think she could convert a few. They'll probably say no, just to be that. But I think secretly she will convert people, whether they wanted to admit it or not. This is your last time to do a prediction on this fight. I know we do it all the time, but I think I keep changing my mind. Are you sticking with the same decision?
Do you know what? I'm going to go on the fence myself a little bit. Well, I've always said sort of Mayer, but this week I just want to think, do you know what? I just want to celebrate all the boxers. I know that's really boring, but I just think it's such a great event, and I just want a good fight between everybody. So I just think as long as it's a great event, great fights, then good luck to everybody. But as everybody knows who's watched all the lives, obviously, I do think Mayer.
So you're not sitting on the fence. That was so bad about why I was saying Mayer, but I don't want to upset Alicia Barngardner.
So that everybody knows I've said that all the way along the line, because I do believe that she's got the more experience. That's where I think it is. It's not that I don't think Alicia's great fighter. I do. I think she's amazing, and no matter what happens from this fight, even if she loses, she's going to go on to have a mega career anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
But my point was saying about that was just that I feel like this week I just want to celebrate all of them, because it's women's boxing is just so huge. And for everybody who's fighting on that card, it's just they're all representing women's boxing. So I hope they just all put on great fights.
I think that's it, especially with this one. I hope it lives up to the expectations. I don't really, in a sense, don't care who wins as long as it's a great fight. I think Maya will win. I have changed my mind a lot. Obviously, if Baumgartner lands that right hand on the temple, then yeah, she's obviously won. But I think Maya will win, and then I think Maya will move up, and then I think Alicia will conquer this division.
Yeah.
I think that's how it'll work out. But yeah, for me, really looking forward to it. And I think this is going to be explosive from the first round, this fight. That's what I'm looking forward to.
It could even be fight of the night, this one.
I think it will be. I think this will, 100% be fight of the night. Because we'll talk about now Claressa Shields, Savannah Marshall. Let's talk about... Go on.
I was going to say, with you changing your mind and everything about the last fight, it makes me laugh because I remember you just messaging me randomly going, I think I know who's going to win.
I come up with such a logic there, didn't I? So at that time, I thought Alicia Baumgartner was going to win because I was worried about Michaela Mayer's weight, because she keeps saying this is the last year she can do the weight. And all I kept thinking was, is this going to be a repeat of Terri Harper? However, she looks fine at this weight. I think when you look back at Terri Harper, she looked ill, didn't she? Even her skin tone, everything changed, hadn't it, when you, in hindsight. Michaela Mayer looks fine. But that was my logic at the time, because I was thinking about it, literally sitting and thinking about it in my own little space for 3 hours, and I thought, I think I've cracked it. I think Alicia could win. It's one of them fights, though. I wouldn't be surprised who won.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, as long as it's not some stupid controversial decision, you've got to be happy.
And that's what's so great. These are elite fights with elite fighters in amazing fights. They're not a mismatch. They're 50-50 fights where we get,
and the best woman will win on the night.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's what's amazing, and that's why it's going to showcase women's boxing so beautifully.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then Claressa Shields, Savannah Marshall. When we've done these, obviously with the pros sending in their predictions, this one's a lot more 50-50, a lot more Abmaya winning over Baumgartner. This one is very 50-50. A lot of people do what I've done, where they say, I think Shields is going to win on points. But Marshall could win if she knocks it out. And that's exactly... So really, everyone's kind of sitting on the fence.
Yeah.
But I keep saying, it is literally who can implement the game plan first. That'll be the winner. Simple as that, I think.
Yeah. I do feel like there's a little bit of bias going on with some of this, though. That it tends to be British people are going Marshall, Americans, Shields. Obviously, there's some crossover. I do feel there's a little bit of that going on as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there always will be when it's UK versus USA, and some of them were on Team GB with Savannah, they're always going to support Savannah. Someone on Team USA with Claressa, they're always going to support Claressa. And I think people naturally support their own in a way. I personally don't. In boxing and things like that, I think we've had this conversation before where people have maybe criticised, maybe you more than me, about not supporting, maybe a UK fighter. But for me, boxing isn't, if we go to the World Cup, then I'm going to support England. But in boxing, it's just a fighter, isn't it? It's like when I used to watch tennis. It's the player. It's one of them, isn't it?
Isn't it? You end up liking someone's personality, fighting style, them as person. They're fighting first, not as a team, are they? You end up liking that person for who they are, regardless of where they're from.
100%. So in the amateurs, I want Team GB to win because it's a team effort. You're representing your country, like you say. In boxing, I'm there. To be fair, typically I don't care as long as it's a good fight. Either way, I'm not overly bothered. I think everyone has their favourites, don't they? But I think with this fight, I think as long as it lives up to the hype, we're probably going to see it again. I imagine there'll be an immediate rematch. I think with this, there will be an immediate rematch because there's nothing else for them to do at the minute. Savannah will probably retire quite soon, I think. Win or lose, she'll retire. And then Claressa will do what she needs to go and do. I think she'll then move down to Super Welter if she can make her again. So with this fight, I think because we're probably going to see it a couple of times, as long as it's a good fight, I'm quite happy.
That's it. And it'll be bigger. It'll be if they make it a great fight, the next one will be even bigger.
Yeah. Like Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. If we see that run back, that'll be even bigger than the first time. Yeah. With this one, I think it would have to be an immediate rematch because there's no one really for them to fight in between. Yeah. So I think either way, I think there's a rematch clause, obviously. Whoever loses will want that rematch. That's quite obvious. So I think we're going to see it at least twice. But could it be a trilogy? Obviously, you would have to depend. But Mark Jones has put crazy how much Shields is being wrote off. And Stephen Rose, Savannah Marshall will not retire. Peter Fury's already said she's moving up in weight. Yeah, so I've heard that. I just remember speaking to Savannah because I've heard again on another podcast, and she was just adamant she was retiring. She said so much in this build-up she wanted to retire by 30, but because of COVID, she couldn't. I just think she's got in her head she's retiring. I think if she was to carry on, let's say she wins and her stock goes up even more and she was to carry on, I don't think we'd see the best out of Savannah because I don't think she wants to be there anymore. And in a way, I think if she was to win and maybe get that rematch and it's twice as much money, regardless of what happens, I think she'll retire and sail off into the sunset because I do think she's done what she's set out to do. And unless she's tricking us all, she just doesn't come across like she's got any ambition to continue after this fight because for Savannah, there's no bigger fight than Claressa Shields. So I don't know what else she would want to do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
With Claressa, there's big fights because she can move up and down a few more weights and she's got MMA.
Yeah.
So, but time will tell. Obviously, we've both watched the Gloves Are Off, is it?
Yeah.
Was it called Gloves Are Off? That was one of the best things I've ever watched. Hands down. Loved it. So funny.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious. I was laughing as well, just because it's just so funny how they get at each other. Just either side.
I think that they've got a lot of respect for each other. I think they'll be friends in the future. I said to you before, didn't I? I want them to have their own podcast together when they both retire. They're just that funny. But my favourite bit on this is where Claressa Shields says to Savannah, "You cannot beat me at anything." And then she starts listing a load of random sports. So she's like, "You can't beat me at basketball. You can't beat me in a race." And Savannah just looks at her and goes, "What are you on about? We're not in school." And it was just tickled me. And then Savannah was like, Claressa said to Savannah, "Why don't we go out and race?" Savannah was just like, "What are you going on about?" But I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. Thinking about Mark Jones's popped up thing about it's crazy how much Jean wrote off. I kind of agree with him really, because everybody's going. I mean, don't get me wrong, Marshall is just like a phenomenal talent, got better and better. I think the last win, Femke Herman's phenomenal, and I think that's really put up. But I think everyone then forgets Claressa and how much she has. Like, she's had one loss in her amateur. Yeah. You know, I mean, she don't need to listen to all the time. She achieved so much. And so it's crazy. It should be really picking her win if you're looking at it on paper. And I think a lot of people are just picking reasons, obviously, like a box. About that. People who like knockout, they're going to favour Savannah Marshall. Just doesn't matter who the Hood Shields is and how slick. They'll always try and pick the puncher, won't they? And things like that. So it's a case of I think he has in a way, but on paper we all know how much Shields has achieved.
Yeah, I think people just look at the power and go, well, Savannah's going to win. I think Claressa, I always say her footwork's so underrated, baffles me. No one talks about how slick she is with the footwork. fast hand speed, high punch count. She's the full package. She's not a knockout artist. I know Claressa thinks that she would say, or Claressa was saying that she'll knock Savannah out. I don't think she will. I'd be very, very shocked if Clarissa's knocking her out, but she can outbox her. I'm not saying Savannah's got great boxing skill, but I just think Clarissa's very special. She's so good. She is just really, really good. And I think she's underrated because people don't like her as a person. So naturally, they just don't want to like her. But they don't like her because I don't know if it's mouthy, probably isn't the right word to use, but because she just speaks up and she's maybe a bit loud and things, but she's nothing that other boxers aren't. If men do it, it's fine. I just don't think it's liked when women do it. I think at times we've seen it in other sports. Serena Williams was the same all the time. As soon as you're vocal, people just don't like it. And I think that's Clarissa's issue, but it shouldn't be. She's just very confident in herself, and she's had a hard life, and she said in that documentary, she's fighting every day to be the best. So let us show that, because we criticize people for not having emotion or a personality. Clarissa's got it in bundles, and you've got to love her for it. So people underrate her because they don't like her. So
yeah. And I just find it crazy because in my experience, I mean, that's my personal experience, but when I've interviewed her, when I've seen her in person, she's such a warm, friendly person. Like literally, she's the warmest person I've interviewed. And I actually said when I saw her in Cardiff, I was like, I feel like I'm relaxed talking to you, doing these interviews, because she is just so warm and put me at ease. And so 100%. I find it annoying then when people come across saying she's this, she's that, and the other on Twitter. And I'm like, yeah, go watch the interviews, see what she's really about, because, you're not getting the full picture here, because, I've said it all before about how, she's all for supporting women in sport. She supports other women. She interviewed with me over some of the other media when I was there, because we're dedicated to women's boxing, and she wants to encourage that. On her hat because she wants to support it. Things with kids, and then people keep picking up on certain little things that she might have said in the past here and there and everywhere, and they just try and make that into a big deal and forget everything else.
100%. When I was in New York, and she was there outside Madison Square Garden, I think this was the day before the fight. I saw her and I was chatting to her, and then there was just loads of people, and she went and spoke to every single person. She got pictures with them, spoke to them, and the woman from DAZN who was kind of like chaperoning her to a hotel, I was chatting to her, and she was like, we were meant to leave like 40 minutes ago, like we're in a rush. But she just gives everyone her time. So, I think she's very misunderstood. But I think she said it on that, The Gloves Are Off, is that she'll come into London and booze, but she'll leave with cheers. And I think if she wins and it's a great fight, I think everyone will respect that. And people should change their opinion on her. I hope. Stacey Bloomer said, I'm wrong. Sav will not retire and no rematch. Possibly. I think she will retire. I hope she doesn't. I love watching Savannah Marshall box. Love her, but I think she will. I do hope I'm wrong. We had a couple of others. Sav will fight Cruz. She tried to make it before. Cruz didn't want it yet. I'd quite like to see that fight.
I think I would too. And maybe that's what someone else made a comment saying she's going to go up and wait. Maybe that's what they're referring to go fight Franchon.
Who would win that fight?
Oh, I can't say because I like them both. I do love Franchon because of how much she's achieved. Again, another one in her life, and got to where she has. And she's fought so hard to get where she has. And I respect her so much. Yeah. I wouldn't like to say. We'll have to just wait and see it. What about you?
Marshall.
You think?
Yeah, Marshall wins that fight. But again, I love both of them, but she wins. She does win that fight. But that'd be a good fight. I'd like to see that one. Stephen Rose, I disagree. Shields is not that good with footwear. Hannah Gabriel's put Shields to the canvas. That was ages ago. There was a weight issue. I think Shields come out and was very honest about that, saying she didn't cut weight correctly.
Yeah.
Quite naive of her. She didn't have a team around her and things like that at the time. So I think she ended up having to kind of MMA style it to cut weight and kind of starved herself, dehydrated herself, had to sweat everything out. And she still won that fight as well. So yeah, she's been knocked down once. She even spoke about that on the Gloves Are Off.
Yeah. And when I interviewed her, she was quite honest, like you say, about the whole weight issue and things.
She's learned from her mistakes, like no drama. She did get dropped. I think it was like the first round or something. Got up. Yeah, won the fight. And has learned from her mistakes, brought in a proper team. You know, that was early on in her career. You've got to remember, female fighters do not get paid a lot to be having nutritionists, to be having all these teams around them. That's a huge difference. But Steve Rose disagrees again and says we can all make excuses. Fair enough.
Her footwork is phenomenal. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's literally one of the best out there. So there's no getting around that.
Yeah, 100%. She made a mistake doesn't mean that she doesn't have good footwork. But that is true. Gabriel's also does have incredible footwork, but I don't think the footwork was an issue that fight at all. I don't think that's particularly relevant.
Gabriel's does hit hard. I've heard that. She's a heavy hitter. Like you say, Claressa had weight issues anyway. She said she wasn't feeling right going into that weight and she got caught. It's as simple as that.
And she's moved on, never happened again. So, yeah, I don't think that's anything to do with the footwork, to be fair. And this is a really good point from Last Bell Boxing. So, the American promoters struggle in general. So, if you do look at someone like Crawford, if you're a hardcore boxing fan, we know these fighters. But actually, if you take them outside that, you don't. And something that you've got to give props to Eddie Hearn. Look what he done with Katie Taylor. She's like a global superstar. Anthony Joshua, global superstar. They do tend to struggle with that in America more, but it's not one of the bigger sports in America. That's the problem. There's so many. I know we have lots of sports here, but in America, they have so many sports. And the ones that they do in college, for instance, the American football and things like that, they kind of take precedence over a lot of others. Like the college NFL is bigger than our arenas and stadiums. That's like, it's unbelievable. It's just ridiculous. But then that, you know, they've got their main sports and just boxing isn't one of them. But it's a shame because then they have the super fights, like they go to Vegas. You've got Madison Square Garden. But I feel like it's a lot of the time people are flying over to go and watch it a lot of the time. So it is definitely a shame because they've got some unbelievable fighters. And, you know, if you look at Team USA in the Olympics, they've always done great.
And like when Claressa came over and Michaela Mayer, because it was in Cardiff when they first came over to the UK for the whole boxing scene in terms of them being over here, they had such reception. Like the noise when it was like the weigh in, all the noise for it, and everyone calling for Mayer and knowing who she is. Everyone knew who Mayer was there. Everyone knew who Shields was. All the noise for them and all the excitement. They loved it. They did feel energy, and it was different to America for them, and that's why I think they being over here and wanting to fight over here because the energy was just totally different, and everyone knows them, respects them over here, and treats them like a bit more of the stars that they are, really.
Yeah, definitely. I do also think it's down to the boxers at times where whether they like it or not, they've got to start engaging more on social media because when you've got someone like, what's his name? KSI selling out. Was he in the O2?
Yeah.
Like I don't watch any of it, don't like it, but they sell. It's as simple as that. I don't know how or why, but I think fighters have got to start having a social media presence a lot more than what they do. I think unless you're super unique like Katie Taylor, who can kind of, because of who she is now, she doesn't have to engage as much. I think everyone else has to now. And I think so part of it needs to be on the fighter, but a big part needs to be on the promoters.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know people don't like him, but Jake Paul's shown what good promotion can do for a fighter with Amanda Serrano. So it has to work both ways, I think. At times, I feel like the fighter doesn't do enough and the promotion don't do enough, and like they're just expecting a miracle to happen at times. Because we do need more like global superstars in the sport, really. There's not that many when you compare to other sports, especially. Would you agree with this? So Marshall hasn't fought anyone as good as Gabriel's in the pros.
Well, I'd say the fact that she, that fight against her last fight against Femke Herman was because the fact that she got such a great knockout, against the top fighter like that. I think it's a case of she had a bit of a slow start, almost Marshall.
Yeah,
but built up, and the last few fights she's really kind of proved herself, fought the same fighters as Shields and knocked them out. Yeah. So I feel like she has made her statement. So yeah, she hasn't fought a Gabriel's, but I feel like
she can only fight who's put in front of her, because Claressa mentioned this, that the gloves are off, and Savannah in a way kind of agreed, but did also just say, I can only fight who's put in front of me. I can't remember who was the late replacement, but someone come in at like a couple of days notice.
Yeah, Lindbergh.
Yes, Marie Lindbergh. That's not Savannah's fault. That is just the way the cookie crumbles at times, isn't it? And you can't pick on Savannah for that. And Savannah said herself, she said, do you know how hard I am to match? No one wants to fight me. And then she went on to say about, everyone wants to fight you, in reference to Claressa, because, they'll go the 10 rounds and won't come out with a scratch on the face. She said, people won't fight me because they'll get knocked out. And a part of that, I don't know about the Claressa Shields side, but people don't want to fight Savannah Marshall because we've seen that she does hurt people. She does knock them out. So a CV might not be as strong as Claressa's, but she's fought everyone that is willing to fight her. That's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion who's going to win, or are you sitting back and just going to enjoy what unfolds in front of us?
I'll tell you. I just hope it's a great fight, to be honest. I do feel like Claressa is going to win, because my feeling is that she's just too slick, and it doesn't matter how good someone's power is, if they can't get you, they can't knock you out. And I think she outboxes Marshall, so therefore she'll win on points. However, that's taking nothing away from Marshall, because Marshall is a phenomenal talent and exciting talent, as you can see, because people have really taken to her because they love a KO puncher. Yeah. So no matter what happens, she will go on, whether she retires or what. But if she wants to go on, she will still go on and do some great things in boxing, even losing to Claressa. But that's the feeling. I just hope it's a great fight. But yeah, I think probably Claressa on points. How about you?
I would probably edge more towards Claressa on points. However, my only thought is at times when Claressa gets in a way too excited and tries too hard for that knockout, she really loads up and leaves herself open, and she cannot do that. She's done that in a couple of fights. She admits that herself, maybe not the last few, but prior to that, she did say she's trying too hard for the knockout. And I know she spent a bit of time with Mayweather in his gym, and he said about just, it will come. Don't try, the power will come. She's got a very good head on. I think some people could get carried away with the crowd. You see that in fighters. I don't think that'll happen with her, but I think she has to remain very focused on what she's good at and not worry about the knockout. Be prepared. And I'm sure she will be to go the 10 rounds, because as soon as she starts loading up, Savannah will be there to hit. Yeah. I've got a feeling Savannah's going to come in with a game plan we're not expecting. Obviously Peter Fury is an incredible coach, trainer. He's very good. He's got an unbelievable IQ in the ring also. And I've just got a feeling they're going to do something we're not expecting. I don't know why, but I've just listened to him talk, and, he's got a lot of respect for Claressa. He knows how good she is. He knows this is a 50-50 fight. I don't know. Because I feel like Savannah does have to do something slightly different, at least in the first few rounds, to kind of rattle Claressa. And it can't just be relying on power, because that's not good enough.
Well, the main games have already started. That's part of the game plan, isn't it? I think they're trying to get to Shields and break it down, make her come out with those combinations and get her too close, aren't they? That is part of the plan, definitely. Wind her up. you know. So yeah, I think that's part of the game plan that's already started. So they obviously want to get her in close. Yeah, and then what else they got planned then?
I cannot wait. Obviously there's an undercard. We're not going to go through that. We went through that the other week. On that undercard, it's every single prospect in the country practically, and then a couple more from a few different countries. Are you expecting any shock defeat on the night, or is everyone going to win who we expect to win?
No, I think, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the matchups because I think the prospects, you know, they got the right kind of matchups, but there's no sort of 50-50 undercard fights such for me. It's very much weighted towards who they expect to win. So for me, it's more of a showcase of the talent. So I feel like everybody should win, definitely. So
will anyone buckle under the pressure though?
That is a good question because it's.
I've got a feeling. I don't know who. But what are the odds that out of 11 fights are all going to go perfectly to planned?
Yes.
Like, are we going to see someone who thinks, shit, this is such a big night and I can't handle the pressure? I don't know. I hope not, because they're all prospects on a big card.
I mean, two people they are putting exceptional pressure on, which I think's a lot of pressure for early on in their careers, is obviously Lauren Price and Claressa Artingstall. Now, they've obviously used to a lot of pressure from the Olympics, from the amateurs. However, they have been shoved into the limelight straight away with Sky Sports and Boxer. They're treating them almost like Lauren, like Katie Taylor straight away. Like, there is a lot of pressure on their shoulders. I expect them to sort of be the two main events, then to be Caroline Dubois, then I expect them to follow. So they're quite high up on the card.
Yeah.
So I do feel like a lot of pressure's on them, to be honest.
I
mean, they're exceptional talents and they should definitely win. And no matter what happens, they are going to be exceptional in the pros. But if you're talking about pressure, they are.
I think all three of them, including Caroline Dubois, have a lot of pressure. They are going to be high up on the card. You imagine it'll be that, like you've just said, in that order. Caroline will come before Maya Baumgardner, and then either Lauren and Karis, whatever order. It'll be packed at that point. It's a huge card. It's free to watch. Just think how many people who have got Sky are going to be watching it. And it's a card that we're going to talk about for a long time. And it's an opportunity to perform. And again, you know, even though the prospects is going to potentially change in your life, if you go in and you do an unbelievable performance, you don't know who's watching. Remember, at these early stages, sponsorships, endorsements are so important. They're so important to kind of boost your boxing career. And, you know, some of these girls aren't getting paid a lot still. They're still looking for sponsors. You see on their Instagram a lot that they're looking for a new sponsor. This could be massive for them. So not only do they have to win in style, because think how many people who could be influential will be watching. So because of that, I hope no one does crumble. But I just think we've got 11 fights. Are they all going to go to plan? No controversy. Are we going to see good reffing? Are we going to see good judges? Like, we're asking for a lot in 11 fights. I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh. And you know what? One of my biggest questions is, are the Spice Girls going to turn up to watch Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Baumgardner?
If they're not performing live, I'm going to be disappointed.
Me too.
Can you imagine? Imagine Victoria Beckham singing as Michaela Mayer's walking out, and Mel B. Emma Bunton's there. Wonder if Jerry will turn up.
Gosh, I'm going to be like over the moon. It's going to be flashback to my childhood.
I know. Oh, I used to love the Spice Girls. Been to see them many a times. But yeah, when I was young, I used to love them.
I'm
going to send you. I'm going to put a picture up of my Twitter where I'm like, I don't even know how old I'm, like 4, and my mum got me a T-shirt that would still fit me to this day. It was obviously expensive, and she thought you can grow into that. And I'm holding the biggest, like, do you ever remember them books, like giant programs, and they were massive? Did you ever get one of them?
No.
Oh, you didn't live. I'm gonna put that picture on my social media. It's at my mum and dad's. I
lived in a part of the country where nothing ever happened, so it's hard.
Oh yeah, you lived in the sticks, didn't you? Well, in the real world, it was unbelievable. So, but I love this Spice Girls thing with Michaela Mayer. It was dead random, I thought, when it first happened. But she's an actual fan, isn't she? I didn't know she was just like making up because she come to London.
Yeah, no, she actually loved it. Someone asked about it. She was like, well, it's just got a lot of good memories of Spice Girls. She loves singing to them. So, and I think she loves dressing up. She's a real girl, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like, dressing up, looking good. And the fact that
Yeah.
she could have the theme of the Spice Girls when she came over to the UK. I mean,
yeah. And every day she was one of them, wasn't she? Kind of within that theme.
Yeah, she loves pantomime and with it, like,
Social scientists, I hope they walk Maya out to spice up your life. How good would that be? How good would that be?
Honestly,
I'm going to be disappointed if that does not happen now.
Yeah.
I feel like we should tweet her and ask her what's the plan. They must have the budget for it, surely. For at least they need one Spice Girl there at least.
When I was talking to Michaela, she was like, they are trying something. She's like, they're onto it. Sky Sports, Top Rank, they are trying to get the Spice Girls there, whether it's 1, 2, or whatever. But they're trying something. So I really hope they do pull out the bag and do something.
How good would that be? How good would that be? Oh, I'll be jealous that I'm not there. I'm already jealous, but if I miss out on the Spice Girls, I'll just fly back from holiday. It's fine.
You've got to post that photo now, though.
Yeah, I'm going to get that tomorrow. I'm going to drive to my mum and dad's, get the photo, take a picture, because obviously it's the old style where it's an actual physical photograph. It's in a frame. That's how proud I am. It's in my old bedroom in a frame because I love it. I love the Spice Girls.
Frame in your room.
Yeah. So see, I'm a bigger fan than Michaela Mayer. Maybe I'm gonna start doing it. Right, so that's it. So, like I said, if anyone hasn't seen yet, that we're uploading predictions from other fighters, so they'll start to come on kind of gradually. We've got tons, haven't we? I think we've got more than we expected, which is amazing.
I just want to thank all the fighters for doing that, because everybody's engaging with it. Everybody's excited for this and wants to sort of input, not necessarily just to make a prediction, but just to give support to the event and say what a great event it is and to be part of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that comes from it, is that everyone's just getting behind the event and how excited everyone else is. So that's great. So they'll be coming up. And then obviously we might have some content come through the week, and then obviously the big fight. So make sure you're following us on social media as well, because we'll be tweeting along. One of us might be there on the night.
Yeah,
won't be me. I'll be in Portugal, but I'll still tweet along as I'm watching it. But hopefully Susie will be ringside.
Cry if I'm not. I will literally cry.
Believe to receive. So if everyone goes in the description, follows us on social media, we will be tweeting along. Well, I'll tweet along round by round to the fights. Obviously, Susie, you're probably going to be there ringside, so you'll be doing your thing. And then who knows? And then we've got so much to talk about the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know. It's just what a week and what a weekend it's going to be. I just can't wait for everybody. Like I said, from Wednesday on, it's just going to be content because it's just going to be something's going to happen every day.
Yeah. Drama.
Yeah.
Drama. Yeah, 100%. So we'll be back then after the show, after the Saturday show, and then we can talk all about it. Cannot wait.
Once you've had a lovely time in Portugal, of course.
I'll be nice and tanned when I come back. Right, see you all next week.
See you.